The date the 2018 Royal Rumble was held just so happened to be Sheamus' birthday. Instead of getting the fastest elimination of the whole Rumble though, he wins it, putting his faith in the 4-leaf clover to do it after he found one before learning that the pay-per-view would take place on his birthday. Afterward, the Celtic Warrior chose to face Brock Lesnar for his Universal Championship. He might not survive, but he puts his faith in the 4-leaf clover against him, just like he did in the Rumble. The Bar then dropped the tag titles to Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson at Elimination Chamber because Anderson pinned Cesaro to win the belts, not Sheamus. This is important. Titus Worldwide will instead pin the B team on the pre-show. On that note, fellow Irishman Finn Balor pins The Miz to claim the Intercontinental Championship because if Sheamus is going to put faith in the 4-leaf clover to win his matches, then he may as well do the same. At WrestleMania 34, the birthday boy fought well, but Brock retains his title. However, Sheamus had his shoulder up when the ref made the count. The Celtic Warrior, slowly beginning to turn face, doesn't lose faith though, because there's always next time. Meanwhile, Finn retains his Intercontinental title against Seth Rollins. The Miz tried getting the belt back, but by Mania he was no longer able to compete for it as long as Finn held the belt. Sheamus faced Brock again in the Greatest Royal Rumble, but not in a cage match. We'll save that stipulation for later. For now though, Sheamus wins via DQ because the ref felt guilty after that Mania finish. After the first Saudi show, Cesaro confronts the Celtic Warrior. Cesaro isn't bitter about having dropped the tag titles to Gallows and Anderson, rather, he's concerned for Sheamus because birthday Rumble win or not, dropping the tag titles Elimination Chamber or not, Clover or not, he assumed the end result in his matches against Brock Lesnar at the very least would have told him that he's in way over his head. Maybe he's better off with him in a tag division, but Sheamus begs to differ, he'll be fine. After all, he has the people's support and the 4-leaf clover wishing him good luck all the way. Cesaro is pissed now, so he values some folklore superstition over him. Sheamus denies. He still loves Cesaro through and through and will reunite the Bar later. It's just that right now he's just riding this wave of luck following the Rumble, and the last thing he wants to do is lose it. Then maybe, Cesaro thought, he needs to be taught a lesson in true friendship. Starting from Backlash, the two engage in a best-of-7 series that stretches from this pay-per-view to the Raws leading up to Money in the Bank. Cesaro won the first match at Backlash via pinfall. The second match ended in a double countout. Sheamus won the third via pinfall. Cesaro won the fourth via countout. Sheamus won the fifth via DQ. Cesaro won the sixth despite a screwy pinfall. And Sheamus wins the last match. Their top-notch performance against each other earns them both a spot in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Backstage, Sheamus warns Cesaro to not do anything he'll regret or make him do anything he'll regret. What is he talking about? Well, for starters, Sheamus did nothing wrong, but Cesaro has done nothing but given crap over nothing. Cesaro argues that he's the one who chose to abandon the Bar after dropping the tag titles at Elimination Chamber, even going as far as to say that if he wasn't so lucky at the Rumble, they would still be Raw Tag Champions. That doesn't make any sense though. Either way, Finn Balor becomes Mr. Money in the Bank, taking his Intercontinental Champion status to the next level. Also, Becky Lynch becomes Miss Money in the Bank. This is important because look at her two-sweeting like Balor Club do. Sheamus and Cesaro then receive word that Brock Lesnar will appear at SummerSlam, so this #1 contender Extreme Rules match between them both is their last chance of being the #1 contender for the Universal Championship. After Sheamus wins the match at the pay-per-view, he kneels beside Cesaro and prods him, saying he doesn't want this to happen again, but Cesaro indignantly shoves him away. With Cesaro out of the way, the long-awaited rematch between Sheamus and Brock sees him trapped in a steel cage at the pay-per-view, signaling the end of the rivalry. The two go at it in a 20-minute slugfest, but by the end, Sheamus notices Brock's knee giving in, the more pressure he applies to it, so he takes advantage of that weak point. In the end, Sheamus does away with Brock to become the new Universal Champion at last. Suddenly, Finn Balor's music hits, and he cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Sheamus, a callback to a 3-year-old house show in Dublin, Ireland. While Sheamus has the size advantage, Finn is fresh as a daisy, especially compared to the exhausted big man. After 5 minutes, Sheamus was down and prone to a well-placed coup de grace from Finn. At long last, Finn Balor has reclaimed the Universal Championship, bringing his 2-year-long title quest to rest once and for all. However, there's this prophecy that the descendant of Lu, the long-armed sun god, will kill his grandfather, the Fomorian Demon King, Balor, whose power Finn draws from. He must end this prophecy, lest he get caught in the crossfire between two gods. Before that though, Balor drops the IC title to Seth Rollins. Interesting how that played out. Before Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler targets Seth and a returning Dean Ambrose. Meanwhile, Becky Lynch claims the Raw Women's Championship for Ronda Rousey due to interference from Gallows and Anderson. Sheamus is livid. Has the 4-leaf clover betrayed him? Balor argues that the 4-leaf clover was in his favor, so the big guy chases his title at Hell in a Cell. If Balor retains, Sheamus must join Balor Club, but if Sheamus wins, he gets the belt back. When Finn retains, Balor Club is in full swing, boasting a lot more Irish blood. There's just one more thing Sheamus needs to do. Take the IC title from Seth Rollins with promises of being a Grand Slam champion, which he does, albeit reluctantly, at Super Showdown in Melbourne, but not without interference. Now Sheamus is Balor Club's biggest asset, and together, Balor Club hold all the gold on Raw. Oh, and Finn and Becky compete in the Mixed Match Challenge. Balor Club retain all their titles at Crown Jewel, but at Survivor Series, Finn raises hell with Daniel Bryan to determine who the better top champion is on their respective brands in an Ultimate Showdown match, utilizing the ultimate strengths of both wrestlers. Balor notices Daniel is backed by Cesaro. That coward, thought Finn, couldn't live his failures on Raw, so now he's on SmackDown hiding behind his superior. Cesaro shook his head. Nothing personal, just business. Does Daniel Bryan turn heel here? Maybe, if Finn tried manipulating him by using the exact mantra he meditated on in a hyperbaric chamber. Fight for your dreams and your dreams will fight for you. With that, Daniel will go on to win that match, now heel, and Balor keeps his Universal Championship. However, US Champion Shinsuke Nakamura beats Sheamus. In Sheamus' mind, it's the right thing to do. He's telling Finn Balor, no, I'm not doing everything you tell me. Even though he's keeping his IC title, Finn demands Sheamus chase the IC title at TLC, but is unsuccessful. Afterward, Finn boots Sheamus from the Balor Club. The Celtic Warrior then goes pubbing. There, he's drowning his sorrows in pints of Guinness, hoping the burn of the booze will lessen the physical and emotional pain he's racked with, when D'Lo Brown starts some crap, thinking he can take him on because he's a former Universal Champion who couldn't even reclaim the title belt that's lesser to his title belt. He's kicking him down, reminding him how weak he was, until he starts digging deep. Next thing D'Lo knew, after he hit Sheamus in the back with a stool, he socked him straight in the jaw and slammed him through a table. The Celtic Warrior was lost, but now he's in the zone again, as he was throwing guys left, right, and center all over the pub. Some were thrown through tables, others dragged across the bar. Eventually, after Sheamus threw all the patrons out of the bar, he was the last man standing when the bartender asked him, "What was that all about?" To which the Celtic Warrior replied, "I'm getting ready for the Royal Rumble, fella." At that very pay-per-view, Finn Balor unleashes the Demon King to retain his Universal title against, I don't know, Brock Lesnar, taking advantage of his weaker knee, but what of the Rumble match itself? On one hand, Sheamus' Royal Rumble journey from last year comes full circle as he wins his first back-to-back Rumble, but not before he and Cesaro apologize to each other. But on the other, he refused to go after Daniel Bryan's WWE title at WrestleMania 35, instead targeting Finn's Universal title so he can bring his rivalry with him to an end and fulfill the prophecy. In the build to Mania, Finn is about to start throwing everything the Balor Club has at the Celtic Warrior when Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre interfere, Ziggler bitter that he wasn't the one to win the Rumble, and Drew bitter at Sheamus that he did, the IC title not on the line. At that point, Sheamus and Finn realize that they have a greater evil, and the two become begrudging allies against them. Finn makes a deal with Sheamus. If they win, and they will, after Sheamus spins Dolph, not Drew, they'll go back to fighting each other, to which the Celtic Warrior replies, deal. At Fastlane, the Celtic Warrior beats the remaining Balor Club in a handicap match before the main course of WrestleMania 35. There, Seth Rollins beats the reigning Drew McIntyre to reclaim the Intercontinental title, while the Universal Championship is on the line in another cage match, this time at Mania 35, which not only prevents interference, but is also a callback to 1, when Finn cashed in on him after he beat Brock Lesnar, and 2, when Sheamus first met the Demon King in Hell in a Cell. Notice how Sheamus is wearing Jets green for the occasion. Doesn't mean no job to Finn though, because the 4-leaf clover is on his side for the night, and his ancestor god Lou smiles upon him. Finally, Sheamus reclaims the title at Mania 35, as it got showered in green, white, and orange confetti, streamers, balloons, and maybe a clover or two. The prophecy has been fulfilled, and the Fomorian Demon King's reign of terror has come to an end. Sheamus doesn't get sidelined for 8 months for the concussion following a Trouble in Paradise to the Dome from Kofi Kingston. Instead, he defends his title at least once a month. AJ Styles recently turned heel after Gallows and Anderson joined him after Balor Club dissolved, and our primary target is Sheamus because I think an old Pele kick from AJ would be less likely to injure him than an Irish whip into a Trouble in Paradise to his dome. Anyway, at Money in the Bank 2019, Sheamus beats AJ via DQ, following interference from Gallows and Anderson. Return to Saudi Arabia once more in Super Showdown, AJ beats Sheamus via DQ, due to the ref catching the Celtic Warrior brawling with Gallows and Anderson. He thought he was preventing interference, but instead, he cost himself the title match in the process. Gallows and Anderson are barred from ringside, but AJ tries his hand at Sheamus' title one more time in a street fight. Again, as long as Sheamus isn't straight on kicked to the head, he'll be fine. Fuck. So, Brock Lesnar's the next Mania 9 Hulk Hogan, except he brought the rumor that he apparently created Money in the Bank full circle by winning Money in the Bank, despite not being scheduled to compete. What does Brock have to say for himself? He says he doesn't give a shit about the people. He's only doing this to essentially rage bait the people because he loves the reaction it generates. Well, too bad, Brock, because Sheamus is done holding back. He held back at Money in the Bank and Super Showdown, but after Extreme Rules, he realized that he did exactly that. Well, no more. He's tired of Brock bringing WWE down to his level, and he's tired of Brock being here. As far as he's concerned, he's a cancer to the WWE that doesn't die on its own. Instead, it needs cut out, which is exactly what Sheamus will do at SummerSlam.